Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. I'm live right now, but I know that this video will be posted later on, and we'll also upload it to our YouTube channel. So let me bring Enson on camera. Morning, love.
Good morning.
All right. So I'm just getting the questions set up. So it's 8 a.m. here in Japan, and it is 4 p.m. there in Vegas. Correct?
Yeah.
All right. How's your connection? It's all good.
Yes, really good. Hey, Chris.
Hey, Chris. Hey, Bong. All right. People popping. So this is the first time we're doing something like this, and it's a bit of an experiment. So bear with us as we go through this process. If you have any questions, send them through, and I'll try to read them. I'll repeat the questions and read them out. Morning, Bong. I'll read them out so that people can hear them again, and Enson can discuss it.
Sally.
All right. Morning, Sally. All right. So, did you have anything you wanted to start with, love?
No, we can just start with the questions, I guess. Discuss whatever we want to discuss about the current topics. I've been getting a lot of people asking me questions about a lot of stuff. Yeah, like the stuff that you wrote about, the weigh-ins, the riot, the shit talking, and all that stuff. So we can touch up on all that.
Yeah. So I think we have to start off with the Khabib and Conor fight, because that's kind of the hot topic and the elephant in the room. So what are your thoughts on the fight?
I thought it was awesome. As far as the technical wise, I thought I was hoping, I was cheering for Khabib, but I thought Conor was going to be too agile and stay away from the takedown. Obviously, I underestimated Khabib's takedown abilities, and then his pressure. Conor, I thought, was going to be the type of guy that could get up, but apparently he couldn't. And I guess all the weight and all the pressure that Khabib was putting on Conor tired him out too. So, I mean, Khabib actually got tired in the third round, so it was kind of, Conor actually, I thought, took the third round. But I guess Khabib was probably just recovering. But it was a pretty neat fight where I thought the only difference that was made in the fight was that Khabib's ground was so much better than Conor's, compared to Conor's being a little bit, if not as good as Khabib's stand-up. It's amazing. Khabib's got pretty good stand-up, and seemed like Conor's power didn't affect Khabib. So as far as technically, the fight was pretty awesome. I mean, no matter who you're cheering for, you probably were at the edge of your seat during the fight. I mean, it was like they had its ups and downs, so it made it super exciting. Solid.
Yeah. What's that say? Hyping the fight with trash talking. I'm old school. I'm not a big fan. Where do you stand on that? Khabib, I thought, was very clever, poised.
I agree with you, Sally. Exactly. I'm totally against the shit talking. I believe the trash talking, the cutting people down, insulting. I mean, Khabib was upset about insulting the country, the religion, his people, which is really understandable. But even insulting the person himself, I mean, that is stuff that should be left in the pro wrestling ring, I believe. I mean, pro wrestlers do that. They talk shit. They criticize or tell them how ugly their wife is, or that kind of stuff. I mean, that kind of stuff. When it's a show, it's a show. I believe fighting is real, and I believe that we should keep the shit talking real. If you're gonna shit talk, it should be things that you really mean. And the problem we're having now with Khabib and Conor is, I think Conor's more show, and Khabib is taking it literally to what's said, which is understandable because I think Khabib is a true martial artist. He fights the sport as a martial artist, not as a showman. So, if for me, I would probably be in the same boat as Khabib. If I had shit talking done to me, it would come to a point where if he crosses the line, it could get bad, you know, like it did with Khabib and Conor in the last at the end. So, as far as the trash talking, I think that has to go. I mean, everyone's like who pointing fingers at who to blame. You know, Conor talked too much shit. Khabib should have, you know, been more professional about it after the fight. I believe the fingers point at everyone, but the biggest thing I think what has to be done is I think Dana White, or I don't know if Dana actually has that power, but the people in the UFC have to control that. The escalation isn't everything. It's already hard in the middle of the fight when you like someone like Khabib is putting his life on the line to fight. It's already hard. The emotions involved in fighting, especially someone that you don't like, and then having such a convincing win. So the excitement already is so huge that we don't need the escalation. So I believe what could have happened better was the prevention. They could have prevented, you know, when Conor goes over the line. I mean, on the press conferences, on interviews, I think the UFC or Dana White should be keeping them in a sort of an organized line on what kind of trash talking they do, if they're going to trash talk. I believe that the UFC kind of set it up themselves. I mean, they promote the trash talking. They don't punish the fighters enough when they do things like Conor did, throwing the dog into the bus. You know, so I believe that all this escalation is a result of what they didn't do properly to control this from the very beginning.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much. I mean, I don't know. I'm rambling because there's so much issues on this whole thing.
No, there is so much, and I did a quick scan this morning of the internet on Twitter and on Instagram. You know, those reliable sources. But there seems to be a general consensus going around that a lot of people are, I don't know if it's blaming, but they think that the UFC, you know, created this monster essentially.
Well, I think the big points are, one, they're allowing the trash talking to go to a point where they're insulting religion and family. I mean, it's already bad enough when you're insulting if I'm fighting someone and I'm insulting him personally, that's already bad enough. But then Conor's going into this religion. He's insulting all the people of Pakistan. He's insulting his father and his family. And then he goes to a point where he starts, you know, talking about his manager being a terrorist. And I mean, you're going over the line there. I mean, I think what happened was a result of, I think the biggest problem we have here is this is all show now. It's like, it went from martial art to sport to entertainment. And what the problem is now is not all the fighters that are in there are fighting as entertainers. You got guys that are still fighting as martial artists. So as a martial artist fighting, if I were to fight in the UFC today, I think we'd have a problem with that, because if I had an opponent that was going to insult me and my family, even threaten my lives. I mean, Conor even threatens Khabib's life. Khabib in return threatens Conor's life. I mean, if you're going that far, you know, people are saying that. What?
That kind of, just jumping in there, that kind of raises the question then, is this current sport or entertainment business, is this now, do you think it's still a place for martial artists then?
I was going to go somewhere with what I was saying and you just cut me off.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, save that question. I forgot what I was going on there. I thought you were going to just comment on the same lines of what I was saying, but you went in a totally different direction. Try to hold off on those or something. Shit, I forgot. You just screwed up my whole thought process. What was I talking about?
I forget. All right, so let's go to a different question. There's a question. I'm reading some of the questions in the comments here. Fines for discipline. Set an example like the NFL, two different sports, but what are your thoughts?
What was the question?
So I think fines for discipline, set an example like the NFL. They do fine them, don't they?
Yeah, well, that's another thing. That's another thing that I was going on was one was the controlling the insults, and two, there's not enough the UFC is not reprimanding people enough, or fairly, because you got guys, forget the guy's name, who after the fight he tried to hit Josh Koscheck in the face, and he got kicked out of the UFC for good, never to come back in the UFC. And then you got Conor coming in, flying all the way in from Ireland to attack Khabib, and doesn't get any reprimanded by the UFC at all. Everyone's saying, oh, he got prosecuted, but that wasn't the UFC. That was the New York State was prosecuting him. When he had the community service or whatever penalties he had, that was the state. It wasn't the UFC. So I think that's one of the problems too, is they're not punishing the fighters enough for what they're doing. I mean, not fairly. I mean, now you got a whole incident where Conor comes flying in with his team and starts attacking a bus of innocent fighters, possibly fatally injuring or even ending a career of some fighters. And Lobov is in the thing. Dana shows his power, and he says Lobov is off that card. He kicks him off the card, but Lobov is scheduled to fight in the next Canadian UFC. He's back fighting again, but now we got Khabib's whole situation. Now Khabib's guys, I mean, they do something that's just as bad or not even as bad, because everything that Conor did was premeditated, and he had it planned way back. Flew on a plane, had hours on the plane to deliberate it, and still did that. And Lobov went in and was in there knowing Conor was coming and joined them in the medley. Khabib's guys did the same thing, but they reacted more on emotion. It was just on the whole emotion of the win and all this stuff. And then they say Conor was unprovoked attack, but when you see a video that Chuck Liddell posted, you could see Conor throwing the first punch at Khabib's brother, and that's when the corner jumped in and attacked him. So, and now Dana's saying that those two guys are never ever fighting the UFC again. But how can he ban those guys from the UFC when Lobov is fighting and he did something that's probably equally or worse than what these two guys did? So I think not only is they're not reprimanding the people that do bad things enough, or the question was finding them enough. I think what they're not doing also is they're not being consistent. It's not consistent. There's not a set rule. If you do this, this has happened. If you're Conor and you do this, okay, this. If you're John Jones and does this, this. But if you're Nate Diaz and you do this, this. It's almost like a opinionated penalty line, which I think needs to be more consistent for people to respect it and people to really feel like, they need to stand in line, yeah? So that was about the question on the fines. I think they should be more strict than even the suspensions. They need to keep the fighters in line. And ConorMcGregor is probably the one who started creating this, where they're defying Dana and not listening to Dana. So, I mean, the first step they got to do is start curbing that guy as Dana, as the president of the UFC. Oh, we got so much questions, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm saying I'm just jumping on my laptop here because it's kind of hard to flick up through my phone.
Yeah, I see them coming in.
So I'm going to jump on my but I don't want to interrupt again. Yeah, there we. Let me have a look. Ooh,
yeah, that was about as you're looking, I'll just talk. The fines. I think they need to get stricter on that. I think Dana needs to really take better control of everything. I know, I mean, it's easy for me to say sitting out here, but Dana has a tough job, man, because he has to, he's thinking of the profits of the promotion while he's trying to keep control. It's really hard.
Yeah. So some people are just saying, where are we? Trash talking has gone way too far these days. It's from Chris Sosich.
Yes.
Conor's acting slapping refs, bus incidents, crossing the line like that. And I feel the fighters behaving that way causes the fans to act that way too. So that's more of a comment.
Yeah, well, you know, on that comment, the fact that the UFC doesn't reprimand them and they use that footage to promote the fight is almost encouraging it. So, I mean, the UFC is saying Dana's saying he's disgusted. I mean, the UFC is disgusted about it. It's like, how can you guys be disgusted at something that you guys have created?
Yeah.
It's like raising a child and teaching him to be a cocky dick. And then when he starts being super cocky, you say, I'm disgusted with the way you're acting. You actually added into that happening. So, you know.
I'm just going to read a couple of the comments out too. So, Tekura Arfield said, got to hit them in the pocket to control their behavior. UFC and therefore trash talkers making too much money out of this.
Yeah.
Says that comment. From
they're trash talking to make money. They should find them with money so that they cannot. The trash talking kind of contradicts what they're trash talking for. That's a good idea. Trash talk should be fine with money, and they're trash talking for money, so they'll probably stop trash talking. Good point. We said that. Huh?
All right, Glennie Sorbet. NFL is a similar example. Sponsor money talks there as well. Top draws can get away or be forgiven for anything. Paul Daly's the one who punched Koscheck after the fight.
Mm-hmm. Paul Daly's banned from the UFC, but he tried to punch him, but he actually didn't land. But the fact that he showed that unsportsmanship after the fight, he got banned for good. I mean, that's bad. Yeah. But look at what Lobov actually was the one who called Conor down. He participated in the medley. I mean, it's hard because now if Dana has to go and stay on what he did to Paul Daly, he has to ban and kick out Conor, Khabib's cornerman. Now Dylan Dennis, I know he's part of Bellator, but still he would have to be banned. He's a part of that whole thing. So the whole group, I mean, you'd be banning a lot of people. Maybe, you know what though? To do that, I think he would curb the actions and people acting like that.
So you think that they need to be made an example of? Like, it has to be extreme for people to take it seriously, you think?
He has to make examples of people consistently. Yeah. Oh, Barrett has a good point, yeah. Khabib, I mean, if anybody threw the first blow, it was Conor that slapped Khabib's hand at the weigh-ins. It's just true. The first physical attack was by Conor.
Interesting. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to keep reading out some more comments. Arlette a while ago said exactly. Todd Atkins said, reminded me of Super Brawl events in Hawaii.
Yeah, Todd. Super Brawl events when the people were uneducated, they didn't understand how much that it was actually a sport, and they were like uneducated and thinking that the fight was like a street fight. I mean, we've grown so much since then. I mean, even Japan, the gangster events used to do that. But everybody knows now it's a sport and everyone has to have manners. But it's like almost took a 20-year step back yesterday.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, so Sherry Yamashiro said, Dana needs to control the fighters, but he has his favorites and they tend to get away with more. But like you said, he's still promoting this to make money. And then Arlette said, Dana's crying fire when he's the one who lit the match. So it's kind of like both those comments are true.
It's so true, yeah.
Yeah. So I had a question. We're still talking about this, and a question, one of the questions that sent in earlier. Actually, where is he? Oh, so Bong Martinez on Instagram said, I'm wondering, what did Dylan Dennis say or do to Khabib that made him super mad? Do you know what the beef is there?
Yeah, Dylan Dennis was claiming that he spars with Conor on the ground, and he's bigger and stronger and better than Khabib on the ground, so Conor's not going to have any problem with grappling with Khabib. In fact, almost implying that Conor's ground isn't. He's not going to have a problem with Khabib's ground. So I guess with all that, Khabib like totally mauling Conor like that, he kind of I think what the reports were that when after Khabib won, Dylan Dennis was yelling stuff. So I think already by him making those comments already had Khabib pretty hot. And I think after the win, with all that emotion, Dylan Dennis started yelling shit into the ring. And that's when Khabib started talking back and jumped over. So as much as you're going to reprimand Khabib, which he shouldn't have done that, he should have controlled it a little better. But it's still, the instigation is also should be punished. And if anything, Dylan Dennis should be reprimanded also. If he's good, Khabib is also. He's a part of that whole thing.
Yeah, it's bigger than just these two now. Yeah, it is. So this is one from a non-MMA perspective, I suppose. Is my mum actually asked a question.
Oh, I saw that.
And she said in New Zealand, this morning's news wants to ban MMA. So I think they mean ban it from being shown on TV, possibly. After the Khabib and McGregor brawl last night. How would you defend keeping the sport given the recent incident?
Well, that's really hard because I already know from my visit in New Zealand, New Zealand's already anti-MMA or fighting. Yeah. New Zealand, I believe, is a little bit behind on the accepting MMA. And even when I went in 3 years ago, and they found out I did MMA, I had a comment. Well, what is it? More than
6 years ago.
6 years ago.
Yeah. It's crazy. Yeah, time so fast.
When I went in 6 years ago, when I got stopped by immigration, they asked me what I do, and I said I was an MMA fighter. His comment to me was, "Oh, so you beat people up for a living?" And I was kind of blown away because that was like comments I got 20 years ago in Japan. I mean, in America, when America was still against MMA. I think the only way you could talk to some New Zealand authorities about allowing MMA is we need a good, respectable spokesman for it. And the spokesman needs to point out, of course, these bad things are what stands out in the headlines, but they should point out the good things about it. There's a lot of fighters with class. There's a lot of good things that MMA fighters do. Oh, so it'll be rough though because this is such a big eyesore right now.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. I think in that particular instance, I agree. I think education is key. So again, we need like a positive role model spokesperson in New Zealand to kind of speak about the sport and also the martial arts behind it, because right now, how you're saying it is gone into entertainment, which is and then of course within that you're going to get the bad eggs, like what's blown up in the media. So we need some of those good examples to shine through and people to push that, I think, in New Zealand, so that the public see that, not just all this bad stuff.
It's such a hard thing because there's a pros and cons to it. The pros to doing shit talking and bringing this into entertainment is going to be a bigger viewing audience, which is going to add to more sponsorship for the fighters, which is going to add to bigger payment for the fighters. The MMA scene, if you're with fighting with honor and respect, it's not going to be as exciting. It's not going to be that, people feed off that hate rivalry. I hate your ass. People feed off of that. So you're going to lose some of that. I mean, it's something that I think the whole martial arts world needs to sit back and decide what they want. If they want to bring this sport out to be bigger and more viewers and make it more popular, then the sacrifice is the honor and the respect. But if you want to keep it with the honor and respect, the sacrifice is the sport's not going to get as big as fast as it is. And I am for not worrying about the popularity and keeping it under respect. I mean, it was always like that, when in Japan, the fighting arenas, even at our heyday, we could fill arenas, but the pro wrestling would always fill more arenas. The pro wrestling had more guys that were more famous than the fighters. The pro wrestling had more martial art, pro wrestling magazines up per week. And it's because why? Because entertainment. They talk shit. They make it exciting. And they also can plan the winners and losers. You know, and fighting sometimes it'd be like a great storyline if this guy wins, but in fighting, because it's real, sometimes that guy that would create a bigger storyline loses. But pro wrestling has that ability to control all of that. You know, so I remember saying that, oh shit, pro wrestling is so big, but fighting is so small. But that was the sacrifice we made for keeping the sport honorable and being honest with ourselves and not having any bullshit and purposely shit talking to try and create a atmosphere for your fight. I mean, it's sad.
Okay. So, where are we? We're covering, I'm just reading through the questions too. Like, as you're talking, you're covering a lot of the questions too. So I'm just trying to eliminate some of those. Let me read some of these comments out again. We've got more comments. Chris Rudd, I respect the fact that Conor didn't press charges. To me, that shows that he accepts some responsibility for what happened.
Yeah.
So I think
I kind of was surprised that Conor didn't press charges. That was pretty it was pretty cool of Conor, but still doesn't I don't know. It's just that it's maybe Conor understands that he created that by what he said and what he did. You know, the scary part about that is if it was me and I did something like that and I said that I didn't want to press charges, is because I wanted to retaliate and didn't want that to be on me that I press charges. So that's the scary part. Is Conor being honorable or being a man and just not wanting to go to authorities and not press charges on Khabib, or is he planning some type of retaliation that would be against him if he did press charges, because it shows remorse and anger towards Khabib. So if he were to do something to Khabib, it'd show premeditation, and I think his charges would be bigger. Is he trying to play like he doesn't care? What?
It's kind of scary when you think what he's capable of. Yeah. No,
with the money,
I never thought of that. Yeah.
With the money and the backing, there's a chance that he might want to retaliate in some way that is going to drop suspicions. Yeah, if he doesn't press charges, and it's like, okay, oh wow, cool, he's forgiving him for it. I don't know. Then again, there's also another comment that he's not pressed charges because all he's worried about is a rematch. So maybe he doesn't want to interfere with the rematch. If he presses charges, Khabib gets charged, and it might affect his ability to get a visa into the United States again. So that might be it. Nobody knows.
Do you think there will be a rematch?
I think there's inevitable.
Yeah. I
mean, Dana White and the UFC runs all around making money. I mean, that's his job. So, I mean, Khabib Ferguson, Conor Ferguson, Khabib St. Pierre, Max Holloway, Conor, there's so many big fights, but I don't think there's any especially after all of this, I don't think there's a bigger fight than a rematch between Conor and Khabib. I don't know, maybe not, yeah, because Conor was so dominant on the ground. Maybe not, I don't know. But as far as with the method, what?
As far as the fight is concerned, I think Khabib dominated so much, I don't think it warrants a rematch. But we're talking about the sport being an entertainment business now. So, I mean, what happened and the rivalry and all that kind of thing, is that enough to get a rematch? It's almost like they just had one.
Yeah, that makes sense. It doesn't, but you're talking about ConorMcGregor. The adjustments he made with the Nick Diaz #1 and Nick Diaz #2 fight, Nate Diaz fight, the second fight, was incredible.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
So Conor is a genius in that. So out of the fight itself, is he deserves it? No. But I can imagine if they do get a rematch, I almost 100% believe that the dolly throwing and Khabib climbing the cage is going to be shown. So as far as they condemn it and say it's disgusting, they're using it after. I mean, it can't be that disgusting if they're it's not even saying that, fuck, this drink is so disgusting, and then a week later I'm drinking it every day. It doesn't make sense, yeah.
Okay, let me read out some more comments. All right. Ooh, a long one. Russell, hey, Enson SJ. My only take on the current situation is a separation of the promotion from the fighters is needed. These fighters are quasi-employee/independent contractors. Either a clear break of the fighters being represented by a union or association, and the promotion 100% independently regulated by ratings of fighters in championship matches, or make them full-time employees of the UFC and hold them to employment contracts like the NFL and basketball. UFC could employ an independent board which holds the fighter conduct separate from UFC fight booking. Just my thoughts on it. That was a lot. I'm not sure I really understand.
Yeah, well, as far as a fighters union would definitely be good.
Yeah.
But it's such a hard thing to do because the fighters that understand that there needs to be a fighters union, the fighters that are not already in need of the UFC. The fighters that are in need of the UFC and want to fight don't agree with the fighters union because it'll upset Dana and they'll be banned from the sport or banned from the UFC.
I see Leslie Smith, who's apparently not in the UFC anymore, is still like pushing, like driving for that too. Yeah, for that the fighters union.
Yeah, UFC's already lost like 3 cases on it.
Yeah, and I saw her on, I think it was Kerry Melendez Instagram, and they're kind of pushing for her, like for Bellator to pick her up now. So
yeah, association is definitely something that's going to happen. It's going to be, the question is when and which big name fighters are going to make that sacrifice. The association is going to need current big name fighters to make a sacrifice, which I don't know if it's going to happen.
Where are we? Glennie Sorbe made a comment. That's right. Last night, McGregor had a lot of fouls. So talking about the actual fight, down knee to the head, grabbing the fence, Khabib shorts and gloves. That was kind of crazy. I saw him. Yeah. I think he had his toes in the at one point, and then I saw him grabbing Khabib's.
Yeah, he grabbed inside of Khabib's glove here. Yeah, and Khabib was complaining about it. Yeah, never got penalized or anything. You know what though? I don't know if that was. I don't think that was due to I think that was due to any unfair treatment. I think Conor was really that good at it because until Khabib started complaining in the second round, I didn't notice it. But I was wondering why Khabib couldn't get that hand out and finish off the clasp his hand for a single underneath Conor's leg. And when I was watching that, I think Joe Rogan made a comment about the hands being in the glove. And then when I saw it, it was like pretty
blatant
that it was in the glove. Yeah.
Wow. Where are we? Sherry. Okay, so Sherry said, when the UFC was trying to bring a fight to Hawaii and feature Max Holloway, someone from the tourism authority said, no way. He doesn't want a bunch of thugs here. After what happened last night, he kind of proved this point. Then again, it was all about money because Bellator's coming in December.
Oh,
so
yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, without Bellator coming in, I would have said, oh, damn, we're never going to have the UFC in Hawaii. But I had 2 things coming out from an inside source that it was they didn't want thugs. And then there was another thing about the money. And if Bellator is getting in, that means it was the money. It wasn't the thug thing, Yeah, that means the thug thing wasn't that big a deal. Well, we got bad info from one of our sources. About thugs, she said. It was a she. No names. She said it was the thug thing, but possibly it was financial. Maybe the UFC wasn't willing to. Oh, the UFC demanded more money. I think Hawaii was already over that budget. So that means Bellator didn't demand that much money.
Yeah, I think that's the intel that we got.
Yeah.
On that. So let me see if we're done with this particular fight. there's just there. I think you can go on about this fight for a long time because there was so much that happened and went on.
You know,
and no doubt, people are going to be commenting on this video for a while and adding their 2 cents. So that's going to be interesting to follow in the next few days. Sorry, what were you going to say? Oh, no. Okay. Enson's frozen. On. Where are we? So we just lost connection with Enson. I think possibly he moved around in the hotel room. I'm back. All right. Let me add you back in here. Well, how come I can't add you? It's saying I can't add you for some reason. Are you able to request to be added, Enson? So if you're there, love, which I think you are, it's saying that I can't add you. How come? Here, there we go. Huh. Add. All right.
Oh, I sent you a request.
Oh, okay, there you go.
I had to check something on my phone.
What happened?
I had to check something on my phone.
Oh, it freezes and stops, yeah, when you do that.
Yeah, I just had to check something, though. I needed to go look into something because we're going to move on from the fight. There's 2 things I wanted to talk about in the fight.
Okay.
One was in the press conference after Khabib was saying that his actions. Why are you talking about my actions when what he did, he insulted my country, my religion? What people need to realize is that your honor and when you're being insulted, everyone thinks the fight is the biggest thing in the world. But when it comes down to something like that, I think Khabib's explaining that the fight means nothing to him. The sport means nothing to him when you're insulting my family and my country. He and his religion, especially, it's something that big that you really cannot do that, man, because you're insulting those people, the guy's religion and country. It's like, this has nothing. I mean, the fight means nothing compared to that. The second thing, wait, I got to get a cord to charge my phone. But the second thing I wanted to talk about was they asked Dana about arbitration, sitting down Conor's side and sitting on Khabib's side to hash it out and get all this animosity done.
Yeah.
And Dana's reaction really surprised me because he said, that's the last thing I want to do is keep these guys close to each other. I want these guys to be as far away from each other as possible. And when I heard that, I was saying, oh my God, that's like the last thing you need to do. Dana has the power and the respect from these people to sit them down to hash it out with no media, no nothing, just between them to explain to them the situation, and that things has got to be changed and done in order to not make it hurt the sport too much. I think there needs to be arbitration. It's like dogs, or it's like 2 Yakuza groups having arguments. If you just separate them and keep them away from each other, as soon as they get near each other, there's going to be another fight. I think it needs to be something that needs to be hashed out and sat down with everyone involved in the room. So I mean, I think that's the best solution to kind of getting the bad blood out of Khabib and Conor, but it doesn't seem like Dana's willing to do that. So it's kind of scary to see what is going to happen to this whole thing.
Yeah. Oh, it is interesting.
Yeah. Okay, can go on from the fight then.
Yeah. People are still going off on the fight. It's one of them was, I think the UFC broke the internet. I think it did yesterday. It's this crazy. Cash. Someone said no rematch until Khabib gets fit.
Logistically,
Should
yes. Logistically, yes, but now knowing the UFC, how Brock Lesnar's going to get an immediate shot against Cormier. I mean, it doesn't. I think Conor Khabib rematch is probably more likely than Khabib Ferguson or Khabib St. Pierre or something.
Yeah, it is crazy, you know, how you're talking about the Nate Diaz, how he went away then came back, like kind of crazy. He worked on everything. I think his Instagram post was, "I'll be back."
Yeah, believe me, he will be back.
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily agree with a lot of what Conor does, but you got to give him that, man. Like he works hard. You know, he will go. You guarantee he will go away and improve things that needs improving. So it's kind of interesting.
But will he be able to do enough to catch up to Khabib's ground? Because that was total.
That was beautiful.
That was total domination on the ground.
That was beautiful. And like we watched it after you. So I had training and we watched it at the gym on my phone. And Zuzu and I were looking at the phone, getting all excited, especially like round 2 when he landed that right.
Yeah, I know.
Right. We're kind of like, whoa! We were holding the phone, all excited. It was.
I know. He dropped Conor.
So, yeah, that was unexpected. I think that was unexpected for everybody.
Yeah.
So we all got excited about that. That was really neat. All right. Okay. Let's move on a little bit from the fight. I have a feeling we're going to come back to this fight, but we'll move on. All right. So Will Samuelson from Instagram. A question for Enson. Do you feel that the MMA we see today has any reflection on the MMA that we saw of yesteryear? So back in the past, the environment that you fought in, such as, are there any familiarities in the sport other than the actual fight as to what you experienced? So I think he's asking you to compare, like, old school and new school.
It's really different. Old school was more about the fight itself. We're not about promoting ourselves or promoting the fight or creating a name. It was about going man-to-man, one-on-one, hand-to-hand combat with the opponent that you're in and testing yourselves in the ring with them. Totally different. Right now, it's a entertainment. There's too much money involved. It's about, you know, promotions, about TV, about selling tickets. Very different, very different. And that's why you bring up different fighters. You bring up the promotions have different rules. I mean, that's also a topic that there's so much branches on it that you could really, it's really hard to discuss it in one sentence or even one question. It's so different. Old school MMA fighting and the fighting today is just, it almost is like a whole different, I don't know, it's so different. Because the incentives have changed, I think the mindset of the fighters and the goals of the promotions are totally different.
Yeah, I think that that Don Fry's quote really does just sum it up. Yeah, it's gone from fighting to a sport to entertainment.
Yeah, Don Fry said that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy that almost summarizes it perfectly, I think.
It does. It's really, It's perfect.
Just right there, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Where are we? Enson. So this is from Johnny Atkins on Instagram. How do you feel about the treatment of UFC fighters and the current state of the UFC when making matches?
Super unfair. It's not, the fights nowadays aren't given to the ones who deserves it, but it's more given to the ones who the fans want to see and the ones who's going to sell tickets. Mm-hmm. And that's where I think the entertainment side of it is too strong. And I take that back. How are they being treated? Unfair? Maybe not unfair. I mean, today, day and age, when you're joining MMA and you're joining the fight world, you're understanding that it is promotion, and I think a lot of people will agree that that's what is going to happen. I mean, the biggest problem is there's a division of how you do things with entertainment, and there's a division of how you do things in the martial art. And we're trying to combine it now. And you got half, or maybe not half, you got 30% of the fighters in there as martial artists, and you got 70% of these fighters in there as entertainment. And then in the entertainment 70%, there's like 30% who are real fighters, but they're salvaging and working off the entertainment side of as being a martial artist. So it's a real hard thing to control, because it's just so hard to regulate until you make a decision if you're going to be entertainment or if you're going to be martial art. If you're going to be martial art, then you got to stop all the entertainment shit. If you're going to be entertainment, the real martial artists that are in it, like Khabib and these guys that don't do shit talking, they got to be sat down and have to understand what this is involved, what involves this. And if they don't want to deal with it, they shouldn't be a part of the sport. And maybe it's time for a true MMA martial arts promotion, not an entertainment promotion.
I was gonna lead to my next question. Do you think that there are promotions that cater more towards martial artists than entertainers?
Oh yeah, for sure. But they're not big. Like Shuto's totally like that. From what I see with One, it's kind of like that. I mean, One, I think, needs the caliber of fighters are getting better and better. But I think One revolves more around the ability of the fighter to get the title match. Pancras is pretty legit. I really can't name that much foreign promotions because I'm not really related to them. But I know Shuto for sure is the one that tries to make it entertainment, more martial art. But maybe that's not the way to do it if you want to get big and make a lot of money. Because look at all the big promotions like Bellator and UFC. They definitely are more entertainment than martial art.
It's true, yeah. Well, we're still getting a bunch of things come in. Where are we? I had a question from Will as well. How do you view MMA now, specifically as a woman, compared to what you expected when you first competed and trained? I think Enson touched on it earlier. I started this out when I was in New Zealand still, and they're still quite a lot behind the times in terms of the progression of the sport and martial arts. So I didn't actually get into MMA until I came to Japan, but I was doing Muay Thai and kickboxing in New Zealand. It's still getting there. It's still a growing sport. So being here in Japan, where it's totally accepted, and it's not quite, I mean, apart from fights like Bob Sapp's and stuff, it's not really entertainment so much. They still focus on the martial art aspect. I love it. I love fighting here in Japan, and yeah, I'm enjoying this journey so far. I'm still new to the sport and to the journey, so I mean, you guys can follow my reactions along the journey. And on speaking about Bob Sapp, somebody asked
Carol likes spring
a while ago,
gives her the tools to reach new.
What's that?
Oh, what's that? Where are we?
My computer.
What do you think about the Bob Sapp fight? What do you think about Bob Sapp fighting again?
as martial artists, I don't know why promotions give him fights, but as entertainment, he's good. I mean, does he fight to the ability of a professional fighter? Most times not. Does he have the heart of a martial artist? No. Is he big and spooky and super in shape and agile to look the part? Yes. Does he put on a good show? Yes, he does. I kind of enjoyed that fight. I mean, if I'm looking at it as a martial artist and watching it in the martial artist fight and martial arts, and that would be disgusting, the fight he fought with the sumo guy. But as far as, you know, you accept that it's an entertainment, you know, and it was funny. I mean, I enjoyed it to a point where I couldn't stop laughing. So
yeah, the whole arena was erupting in laughter.
Yeah, I mean, the Japanese people were laughing, which is very unusual. So it must have been really funny.
It was entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, you know, as far as Bob Sapp goes, I mean, he's a friend of mine, but as far as he goes, if the promotion's going to pay him big money to do it, and he's still able to get fights, as far as from his point of view, why not? I don't see why. He's not doing anything wrong. He's getting offered it. If anything, it's the promotions that shouldn't be contracting him as a fighter. But if they're contracting him, of course, there's only this sport there's only a time limit that you can do it. So, blessings to him for getting fights. But if I had a promotion, I wouldn't have him fight in it. As much as a friend he is, I still wouldn't.
Wong saying, "Hey Enson, were you planning on watching the fight live or any upcoming UFC fight?"
Where? Yeah, of course. I watch all the UFCs.
Yeah. Are you looking forward to any upcoming fights in particular?
Cormier Lesnar would be interesting. Jones and Alexander Gustafsson would be a super good fight. Max Holloway and Brian Ortega, I'm looking forward to that one. So yeah, there's a bunch of them.
Oh yeah.
There's a bunch. Even Amanda Nunes Cyborg is gonna be. I mean, I think Cyborg is too strong, but it'd be interesting to see.
Yeah. Yeah. For a while, I couldn't think past Khabib and Conor there, but there are a lot of interesting fights coming up. That's good.
Yeah, it is.
All right. So someone else, Daniel Alexander, got a lot of comments. He's pretty active on this. Discussion here. All right. What do you think about the submission grappling first, then become fighter? So I think he's saying, what do you think about starting in grappling and then becoming a fighter?
That's probably I wouldn't recommend it. I would recommend doing everything. But if you had to pick one, I think that's probably either wrestling or jiu-jitsu would be a good base to start off in. But as far as just if you had the resources to just do grappling only in the beginning, I think it'd be smart to do wrestling, grappling, and striking all at one time. Maybe concentrating more on the wrestling or the grappling.
Yeah. It's good. Let me see. I think there's a lot of different comments on here. So I'm just scrolling through.
It's funny how I'm looking at some of the stuff on the internet, how they're saying Conor McGregor was sucker punch, but then Chuck Liddell posts a video where Conor threw the first punch.
That was, yeah, I saw your Instagram this morning. That was that's crazy.
Yeah, so it's apparently Conor tried to get out of the ring when Khabib went out. How crazy would that have been if Conor got in the ring and was throwing blows at every hole? I would have been nuts. So but they grabbed a hold of him, and then I think right next to him was Khabib's brother. So then he just threw a punch at Khabib's brother, and that's when he got kind of sort of jumped. So
I wonder if Khabib's brother was trying to jump out of the cage to go get Khabib.
I think he was either to get Khabib or to join Khabib.
Like Enzo said, come in with a flying kick, right? All right. So we got some other points. So now we're kind of, again, moving on from that fight and talking about the weight cutting debate. Mm-hmm. So recently we at an event, we were talking to somebody about the weight cutting debate and how back in the day, like when you fought, there weren't complications or as many complications as they have with weight cutting nowadays. And they used to cut a lot more weight back in the day. So we're kind of talking about what's changed, like what's going on. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think they should implement same day weigh-ins? Do you think that fighters should be allowed to cut so much weight? I know that they're I'm
for same day weigh-ins.
Yeah.
I'm for same day weigh-ins so that you don't get guys that can cut better weight getting in heavier. Makes it more fair. I believe in same day weigh-ins.
Yeah. I like that some of the promotions they show you the weight they weighed in at and then the weight they're fighting at on the night. I thought that's kind of interesting. It's interesting for people to know that too, because you can really see how much weight these people cut.
Well,
it's crazy.
I think a good idea if they want to do day before weigh-ins is, I forget which promotion is doing this, but the fighters have to be weighed in every a month before the fight, 3 weeks before the fight, 1 week before the fight, and they cannot be so heavy to unhealthily lose weight. So there's a promotion that actually datas to all the fighters' weight.
I think it's 1FC.
That way they can monitor that this guy's going to be unhealthily dropping water or not. And if they keep the day before weigh-ins, I think that's a good idea to do something like that.
Yeah. Well, I even know that Shuto for the last for my fights, they've been asking my weight the week before and then a few days before. But I don't think that's I think they're just monitoring our weight. So
no, Shuto told me that they said they're doing that because they're eventually want to do something with it. They're trying to study on that yet. I think Shuto's moving in that same direction. Cool. That they want to make sure the fighters aren't dropping too much weight.
Yeah. Speaking of dropping weight, so this year we've made a couple changes to our diet and lifestyle. We've been on intermittent fasting, and this has also been our junk-free 2018. So we haven't been eating things like sodas and like ice creams and chocolates and candies and all that kind of stuff, which has seen you drop a lot of weight, love.
Yeah.
And it has. So people have been talking and messaging and sending in questions. So we thought we'd bring it out and have a little talk about it now. Are you looking at returning to fighting, if not fighting competition? So what's going on?
I'm not sick. So that was one of the questions. If I was getting sick, I didn't get sick. Fighting, I was offered to come back to MMA by Rising and by One Championships, in which both I declined because I am retired, and like Chuck Liddell has, I don't have that itch. If I did, I have the opportunity, but I believe at my age now and the condition that I'm in, I probably could fight, but I don't have that itch to fight. I don't have that desire to make the sacrifice that I have to make to fight. So I can 100% say that I'm done. The money is attractive, but I have to remind myself that the money isn't the reason why I fight. So yeah, I was offered MMA fights, but as far as me coming back, and that is definitely a 0%.
The
What?
Just saying, like, there you go to everybody asking if you're coming back to fight. The answer's no.
Yeah, the answer is
For
a
fighting.
big no. Yeah, but there's also a talk of I met with Sakuraba the other day, and I was trying to get in a team with for Jared Wiener, them at the BJJ United. I know they have good jiu-jitsu guys, and I thought that that they have a good team, awesome guys, and I wanted to see if we could help promote their gym. And I talked to Sakuraba. He was interested, but of course, as you know now, the quintet is super popular, so it's really hard to get in. So when we and Sakuraba were sitting down figuring out, when would be a possibility, he asked me like 2 or 3 times, will you be fighting too? And I was like, oh, maybe. Every time I said that, he kind of lit up. So I thought, well, if I fought, if Enson you fight and you put a team together, guaranteed. So I was like, oh, shit. And then I don't know. Then one of those things again, when somebody mentioned to me and said, oh, have you ever done the 880-mile pilgrimage? I'm like, oh, shit, that sounded crazy. But then all of a sudden it sparked a little light bulb, like, oh, shit, a little challenge. Walking across Japan, there's a big mountain called Hakone. And they say, there's no way you guys could push the bags up that mountain. And the boat sparked a little thing, like a little interest in me. And now this thing about competing, I never really thought of training to compete. It was more for flexibility and to, lose some weight. But when Sakuraba started mentioning that, I was like, And then, I don't know, it's a light bulb came up, and right now I'm really excited. So I did not lose weight to make a comeback, but it's almost like it came hand in hand where I am in pretty good shape now. Not good enough shape to compete, but pretty good shape that I can get into competing shape. The problem is me getting into the caliber that I want to be in to enter something as elite as that. So am I going to come back? I think it is in the future. It's going to be I want to try and come back in a grappling event, possibly if anything, it's going to be the quintet and see how it goes. I'm gauging that if I were to actually come back and compete at the top level, I'd need maybe 5 to 6 months to prepare to get back into the grappling. And there's talk about a purebred slash, team tack, the guys with BJ United, like a slash team, maybe pull some guys from the arena. My purebred gym has a lot of affiliates, not only just purebred gyms, but we have the Fisticuffs gym, we have Arena, we have the BJJ United. There's a lot of affiliate gyms that are a part of the family, and we'd definitely be pulling fighters. I mean, an idea is a team with me, maybe Jared, Barrett, and so on, finding other guys. So the quintet is something that right now I'm super excited about, and it just sparked up at quintet when I talked to Sakuraba. So yes, I am gauging for that. I will be. You got to see how my body holds up and how much I can pick up all the technique. But I'm totally game for it, and I'm pretty confident that in 5 to 6 months I'll be ready to roll with the best. So excited about it, and we'll see. I'm gonna get in better shape because of it. So we'll see. But yes, I am planning to come back in the grappling ring.
Right. So I said, nice. Looking forward to seeing that awesomeness.
Right. I hope it'll be awesomeness.
Well, I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I am
excited
too.
seeing you excited. Yeah. And look, even Bernie's excited about that.
Oh yeah, Bernie wants to shower. Mom has to shower.
I think he wants attention.
Yeah, he does. Put down your phone.
Yeah, put down your phone, mommy. I'm talking to daddy, look.
Hi, Bernie. Hi, Bern.
He wants to be on the live too.
He is on the live.
He is on the live. Okay. So there was another question. This one came from Todd. What are some of your best memories? What are some of your best memories of kid that you can share?
Um, the first one that comes to mind is our trips to Thailand, the training trips in Thailand, because not only we train, we have to go to the strip joints, we did hang out at night, and did a lot of funny stuff at the apartment. You know, we like snuck bugs into another guy's sandwich. I played darts with syringes and kind of fake throwing at Nori, and he freaked out. You know, so the memories I have with Nori, as far as good memories, is more the times we just hung out. Nothing in particular, like just certain incident happened. It was more just the nice times we had hanging out, and just the purity of his personality was something that's really sad to say is gone.
It's crazy, yeah.
Yeah. I was talking to Sakuraba last night.
Yeah.
We talked about kids passing, and he made a good point. He said, Enson, Sakuraba's 48 right now. But he said, Enson, he said, he got affected by kids' death too. And I said, oh, really? He said, yeah. He said, for some reason, people that are older than us pass. Somehow we can accept it. But when someone younger than us passes, all of a sudden it gives a big scare. And when I thought about it, I was like, that's so true, man. Nori was like 10 years younger than me. And the fact that not only was he a close person in my life back in the day, I guess Sakuraba made a good point that it was someone that was younger than us that passed, and it kind of freaked us out. So he said he did do already prior to Nori's death, he already did a check on his body. And he asked me if I did, and I said, no, I'm planning to do it when I get back. And he said, Vincent, please do it. He seemed really concerned. He said, Vincent, please do it right away. So that I definitely do.
Yeah. I think I'm all out of questions. How about you?
That's about it, yeah.
I think so. Yeah, I'm just scrolling up through the comments now. There's a bunch of comments and stuff, and that we can read later. I don't think I really need to read all of them out now.
Okay. No questions in the comments.
I'm just scrolling back up.
Oh, also, to let everyone know, the end of this year, actually from next year, I'm starting to think of not starting to. I'm going to start trying to create a fight team again. Start doing more training. Start training fighters. We're gonna have bring in Sam. He's a Muay Thai fighter. So we train with Sam Tien, and we're gonna have him come in, train him the ground. So we're gonna start up a little stable, starting with Sam. And definitely, especially after this incident, I would like to instill the martial arts belief and attitude in these fighters. I'm not going to have shit talkers. I'm not going to have guys that talk shit and cause trouble and think that that's the way to do it. I'm going to make sure it's all in the lines of martial arts. So look forward to the birth of some awesome martial art fighters with manners and honor and respect. Things that we're missing today.
I'm super looking forward to that, because it'd be nice to have people to train during the day. It might be nice to have consistent training partners for me, anyway, from my perspective. Because at the moment in Japan, pretty much everybody that I train with has day jobs as well, so they're not training full time like I am. So during the day, I kind of do my own training. So whether it's running or going to Golds or that kind of thing. And then at nighttime is when I get to train with people. So having fighters here is super exciting for me, because that means now we can get grappling and sparring and stuff in during the day. So I'm super excited about that.
Yeah, it is exciting. And I'll be doing more grappling, so I'll be getting better shape. So kind of exciting. So looking forward to that new, step in our little journey we have.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. We're still figuring out the logistics of having fighters come. So Sam's the first one that's going to be coming to live with us. He's going to be staying with us, but there are possibly going to be others that can come for fight camps, I suppose, and come stay with us on a more temporary basis and just kind of grind it out, and then, you know, go back to wherever.
That's what I'm gonna start doing. Is maybe have you guys come on for like a week just for a trial first to see if I want to see if there's someone that I would want to spend my time with, and vice versa. See if just someone that I'm someone they want to work with, and Japan is a place that they want to try and make it work with. So definitely thinking of adding to the roster. As of right now, just Sam. So we'll see.
Yeah.
No pussies though. For sure, no pussies. I'm standing by that one rule. No filthy slobs, no cocky motherfuckers, and no pussies. The 3 rules. Prerequisites to come in and train with me.
Yeah. It's going to be exciting.
They eliminate 70% of the people.
So
all right. I hope we answered people's questions. I mean, please forgive our really unorganizedness because we've never done this before. So it's kind of, I mean, I even feel like even my answers went all over the place. It was really unstructured, but hey, just how it is. We first you try it out.
I think that for me, that's kind of how I want these lives to be, a little bit more natural and less interviewee, more just kind of like shooting the shit and just discussing things.
I guess, yeah. I just the only thing I feel about it is I feel like I wonder if the topic, something as touchy as the trash talking and the way MMA is today. I just feel like there's a little bit holes in what I said. I wasn't able to elaborate on it like I probably wanted to, but
yeah,
I think it's good. Well,
hopefully we can figure out a format that'll work, and even when you're home, we can sit here and kind of cruise on the couch and have more discussions like this. And I got to figure out a way to read the questions and comments, because it's kind of hard because I'm talking to you like on the screen, like you're here, but then I'm trying to read over here on the screen, so I've got to figure that out. And it might be interesting too if we have other people. We can have these kind of, Glennie Sorby said, this is a forming of a possible podcast. Maybe.
Yeah, I'm game to do a podcast, but I mean, I don't know if I want to have like a podcast that you got to go on every week, or maybe a random one. And maybe it's be interesting because I got access to a lot of fighters. Possibly
like a week. We could maybe do week. It's kind of crazy with our schedule though. Our schedule's so insane.
A weekly,
yeah, weekly, or even like maybe we just are one of those podcasts that we don't have a set schedule. We just, when it drops, it drops.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. Or just not even set a thing. We could just do like lives every so often here, or maybe a podcast.
Yeah, and then I'm gonna upload this on our YouTube. So.
Okay, good.
It's gonna go on our YouTube. Yeah, we'll just play it by ear, Glenn.
Yeah, play it by ear.
It's gonna. Yeah, but if anyone has any experience with podcasts, get in touch with me because I have no clue about podcasts, and it would be interesting to know how to do it. That's easier than trying to Google it and get all this information. So if people have experience. Alex said that would be awesome. Hope the new house is going well, Alex.
Yeah, it must be exciting. As well as stressful, it must be exciting and stressful.
Okay, well, we're going to sign off, and I'm going to get this uploaded to YouTube.
Yeah, I'm busy. I'm real busy now.
Yeah. Look, Bernie's tired.
Is he on your foot?
He's underneath my feet, underneath my legs.
Oh, Bernie. People might wonder why we always bring Bernie in, but I think the reason why I bring Bernie is because he's like shows the most appreciation. Cogro sometimes doesn't care. Thomasy wants to come in, but half the time he doesn't. Sometimes he's like, I'll stay outside. And he comes in, he wrecks the house. Bernie's always good when he comes in, and he's always the one, no matter what they're doing in the yard. If you say you want to come inside, he's the one that will come. I mean, we should film it. He literally sprints to the door. Yeah.
He does. He bolts to the door. He's so cute.
He said, film it. Try film it next time. He freaking straight up sprints to the door.
Yeah, I will. That sounds like a good idea.
Okay. All right.
All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Have a good evening. If you're over there.
And if anybody has ideas on how we could make this better, can add the comments in this so we can kind of look it over and maybe make it better, because it's just a trial. Try it out.
Yeah.
Try it out.
Feedback is appreciated and encouraged. All right. Bye, love.
All right. See you guys later.
All right. Bye.
How do I cut this?
I'll cut it.
Okay. All right. Bye.